This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Welcome in. Another holiday is being overshadowed by the coronavirus pandemic, and while there will be fewer fireworks and smaller cookouts, many Hoosier families are preparing to celebrate the 4th of July. Good evening to you. I'm Amanda Starantino. Storm Team 6 meteorologist Kyle Mounts is here in studio helping you plan your Independence Day weekend. Hey, Kyle.
And Amanda, you're going to need to stay hydrated this weekend and keep yourself cool. Take some breaks out of that heat. We made it to 91 degrees this afternoon. There's that average high in the middle 80s. We're going to be eclipsing that here the next several days. As you notice, that temperature trend is going to be around 90 degrees or hotter here as we go right on into early next week. Out there tonight, it's after 11 o'clock and we still have a temperature of 81 degrees in the city. That light north wind, that's been keeping the humidity in check for now, but that will start to climb as well. 77 in Martinsville and Tipton, 80 in Muncie as you head out tomorrow morning. We've got sunshine, and look at those temperatures already approaching 80 degrees by 9 a.m. We'll look at the fireworks forecast in a few minutes.
And this weekend will be one for this history books at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but without fans in the stands, it's a bittersweet return to racing for residents of Speedway. RTV6's Cameron Riddle takes us to Speedway, where neighbors are adjusting to a fanless weekend.
On the day before a race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the town of Speedway and its residents should be buzzing with excitement. But in 2020, nothing is the same due to the coronavirus pandemic.
It's weird hearing the cars and not being there. I'm one of those people that's there. I tell people, they could be racing tricycles over there, and I'd show up with a cooler full of beer just because it's something to do.
Corey Ashenfelter lives 3 blocks from the Speedway. You can see the stands from his front yard. On any given race day, his lawn would be filled with cars, a convenient alternative to parking at IMS. But this year, a blow-up pool sits on the lawn, and while helpful on a hot July day, using the yard as a parking lot is a far better deal.
Last year, per parking spot on 500 race day was $40. And like I said, it was sold out by 8 a.m. And I had, I live on a corner, so I've got the front yard and side yard, and it was too deep. So, I paid my mortgage for 2 months with it.
A few blocks over, on the street directly next to the Speedway, is the Hatch family home, literally feet from IMS property.
So our porch is one of the best seats in the house at this point.
The race fans bought this house last year and were hoping their yard would be the best tailgate spot in town. But instead, the front porch is now racing central and set up with TVs, the closest just about anyone will get to watching the race from the track.
And we've seen the tops of the cars go by on the backstretch. We saw the video boards, which is a big part of the experience. So we've been able to have a little bit of that kind of track feel, without being able to be inside.
In Speedway, Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Thanks, Cameron, and making the most of the situation. And it was a busy day inside the track today. Our Brad Brown will have everything you need to know a little later. And some communities have canceled 4th of July events. Others are moving forward with traditional celebrations with some safety changes. We talked to the mayor of Noblesville about the decision to still hold the city's annual parade tomorrow.
We felt very comfortable that this is all outdoors. We'll have an all hands on deck operation from our emergency management personnel. We'll have hand sanitizing stations in place, so we feel like we can, as long as people take personal responsibility tomorrow and make sure to take care of themselves and their neighbors, we can have a safe July 4th in Noblesville.
And Mayor Chris Jensen says parade participants will not be allowed to distribute anything to the crowd. Water fountains will be turned off, and spectators are encouraged to wear masks. Government and health leaders around the country are urging people to be cautious this 4th of July weekend. ABC's Rena Roy reports some hospitals are bracing for a new surge as huge crowds and holiday parties threaten more infections.
With popular beaches closed for the weekend in COVID-19 hotspots like Texas, Florida, and California, this year's July 4th celebrations will look very different as the deadly virus surges across the nation.
It's not the beaches per se that are the problem, it's the crowds that are created. Crowds are not good.
Florida, with more than 9,400 new infections, nearly 15% of all tests coming back positive. Employees at 30 public supermarkets testing positive. Miami with a 20% rate of positivity, a 10 p.m. curfew in effect indefinitely to try and stop the spread.
What happened is that when somebody's at home for 6 weeks, they get tired and they really get stir crazy. So they're out in the streets. So people are fighting using the mask, social distancing.
To ensure social distancing, up to 80% of fireworks displays in the U.S. have been canceled. Some local leaders, like the mayor of Lancaster, California, are defiant.
This is America, and this is our birthday, and it is the worst year that we have ever experienced. The only thing that'll stop it is handcuffs.
Authorities in Tempe, Arizona are investigating a bar for allegedly allowing employees who tested positive to keep working. ICUs there at 91% capacity. It's one of 26 states seeing a rise in hospitalizations. Phoenix and San Antonio, Texas are using pediatric ICUs for adults as they run out of beds. Meantime, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has made masks mandatory statewide despite weeks of hesitation. And now a new warning that the virus may have mutated. While it is not believed to be deadlier, it may spread more easily.
The virus replicates better and may be more transmissible.
A new COVID-19 survey shows nearly half of Americans are extremely concerned their communities reopen too soon. At least 19 states have now reversed or paused their reopening plans, imposing strict new rules. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And according to the latest update from the State Department of Health, 504,000 people have been tested for COVID-19 in Indiana. Around 9% have tested positive. 2,488 patients have died from the virus in the Hoosier State. And Avon police are turning to a podcast in hopes of generating new tips in the death and disappearance of a 30-year-old mother. Deputy Chief Brian Nugent discussed the Naja Farrell case on the podcast 1041 with Todd McComas. McComas is a retired Indiana State Police detective. Farrell went missing in March of last year. Her car was found abandoned near 86 and Michigan Road. Part of her remains were later found in Crown Point. An IMPD officer is suspended without pay and could be fired as he faces charges in a domestic violence case. Police arrested Officer Mein Katach last night after being called to his home on a report of a disturbance. He faces preliminary charges of battery and domestic battery. IMPD Chief Randall Taylor released a statement saying, quote, "I am disappointed in the alleged decisions of one of our officers. This behavior will not be tolerated. We remain committed to holding ourselves to the highest ethical standards while protecting the community we serve." Some of the artwork covering boarded up windows in downtown Indianapolis will soon be removed, and many of the murals have been on display since late May after protests against police brutality led to some destruction. The Arts Council helped commission the murals. One artist, Andre Parnell, says he is grateful for the opportunity to express himself through his work.
I was a bit depressed because me being 50 years old, I knew I couldn't be in the streets marching. I couldn't be yelling at the top of my lungs and really shouting down someone about my ideas. So I said, what is my voice? And the Arts Council came up with an idea that answered just that.
While most, if not all, of the artwork will come down at some point, the Arts Council has an arts guide. The guide keeps record of murals, so it's possible they will be archived in some way. And working for you, WRTV is getting answers about efforts to improve cleanliness and safety outside of a downtown attraction. Business owners tell us trash, fights, and drug use outside of City Market are becoming more common. According to police reports, there have been cases of theft, battery, trespassing, vandalism, and narcotics investigations in the past 2 months. Vendors want leaders to take action.
This isn't just an issue of perception that it might be dirty. It is dirty. It's not a perception that it's not safe. It isn't safe. So this is a much bigger issue than just homelessness. This is open drug use. I mean, complete open drug use. People smoking spice on the steps of the City Market. People selling heroin and using heroin in our plaza.
It's going to take more security, 24-hour security. It's going to take more money. It's going to take a lot. And it's going to be hard for that to just go into gear and happen. It's not going to happen overnight. I understand that. But that's what needs to be done.
Leaders with the City Market say they are looking into 24-hour security and say IMPD officers are doing more sweeps of the area. They say they've met with other organizations and city leaders discussing long-term solutions. And the future of geese in a Carmel community will be decided by a committee. The Homeowners Association at Lexington Farms has decided to form a goose committee. WRTV has been following this issue for about a week after some homeowners told us they were against the HOA's plan to euthanize 70 geese. Residents now tell us the HOA did reach out to a goose trapping vendor, but did not secure a permit in time.
As soon as I got the job, I was thrilled. I was like, oh my God, I can actually do something past my disability.
Coming up, one woman says she's back in the workforce for the first time in more than 15 years. Why the pandemic is being credited with creating some new job opportunities. And it's the best of both worlds this weekend at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. IndyCar and NASCAR are sharing the track, but one popular driver is no longer in the running after testing positive for COVID-19.
Or visit transitionsindy.com.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
New at 11, the Pacers are responding to Victor Oladipo's decision not to play when the NBA restarts the season later this summer. In a statement, President of Basketball Operations Kevin Pritchard says the team respects and understands the decision and that Oladipo's future health is the top priority. Oladipo has been hesitant to risk re-injuring his leg after rupturing his quad tendon in January of last year. He did not return until January of this year. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway has hosted several historic events over the years, but this marks the first time that IndyCar and NASCAR have shared a venue on the same weekend. No fans in the stands, but still plenty to talk about. Brad Brown has big news from both series from Friday at the track.
One of NASCAR's top stars won't race at IMS on Sunday. Jimmy Johnson tested positive for COVID-19 on Friday. The 7-time Cup Series champion will miss at least the next 10 days. He needs 2 negative tests before he can return to action. Justin Allgaier will drive the 48 car at the Brickyard. Johnson had started 663 consecutive Cup races dating back to 2002.
Well, a most unusual day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It all started when we came in with a temperature check back at the main gate and then wearing our masks up here in the Turn 4 Media Terrace for a majority of the day. But a chance to get outside and see cars on the track, a very welcome sight here as the July 4th weekend begins here on Friday with IndyCar qualifying and the Xfinity Series cars on the road course as well. As for IndyCar, it will be a familiar face starting on pole for Saturday's IndyCar Grand Prix as Will Power, with the final time of the afternoon, took the quick time for the 4th time in his career. He will start on pole. Jack Harvey had the fast lap early in the session, but Power was able to take it right at the end. The 58th pole of his career. By the way, the 3 previous times he started on pole here on the IMS road course, he won the race.
I knew that Harvey had a pretty good time up there, so we put our best set on for the last run and just gave it my all, and fortunately it was enough. Right here, but man, the heat, I just want to jump in an ice bath right now. I'm so bloody hot.
All right, it'll be a busy Saturday here. The IndyCars will have a warm-up session early in the morning. Xfinity Series will qualify. They'll have their race as well, and the IndyCar Grand Prix will go green just after noon. The weekend will conclude on Sunday with the 400 miles of the NASCAR Cup Series. The Brickyard 400 goes green just after 4 p.m. We'll have it all for you covered right here on RTV6. We'll see you then.
Thank you, Brad. A lot to look forward to tomorrow. And here's a live look at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Quiet right now, but it will be nice to hear those cars running tomorrow on what is going to be a hot day at the track.
Yeah, and if you've been to the track, you know it's even hotter there around that asphalt.
I can't imagine all those guys in their suits tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oof.
Tomorrow it's going to be toasty, and across central Indiana, we are again going to climb into the 90s. It's still 81 in downtown, 80 in Muncie. You're in the lower 70s in Bloomington, while it's 77 in Kokomo. High pressure, that's in control of our weather right now, keeping the area of rain off to the southwest, and we're going to see a lot of this guy over the next several days, and that's going to allow the heat to just keep building, and even the overnights are going to be a little bit stuffy. Tonight we're calling for a low of just 70 degrees with those clear skies, just a light northeast wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. So maybe you're heading to the pool or the lake tomorrow to cool down a little bit. Don't forget that sunscreen, as we'll see quite a bit of sunshine out there, so the UV index very high, and temperatures already at noon close to 90 degrees, and we'll get back into the lower 90s tomorrow afternoon. Notice as we get into the heating of the day, though, that's where we could see a couple of those isolated showers or thunderstorms bubbling up, but I think our rain chance is only about 20%. So you'll need something to cool you off a little bit around Bloomington and Columbus with those temperatures in the lower to middle 90s, a little more humidity. So tack on a degree or two for that heat index tomorrow afternoon. Here's a look at TrueCast at noon, and we will have some clouds developing here as we go into the afternoon. And then about 2 o'clock, that's where we start to see a few of these hit and miss showers and thunderstorms. Not anticipating any severe weather tomorrow, but could certainly have some heavy rainfall in a few of these, as they'll be very slow movers. But I think once we get towards sunset, many of those are going to be fading away, and that sets us up for some good viewing for fireworks that are happening tomorrow night. And we'll have temperatures 88 degrees at 7 o'clock, still 80 at 11 with partly cloudy skies, but again dry there. And Sunday is trending drier. We might be able to pull out the rain chance altogether. We'll keep in there though the chance for a spotty shower or storm into the afternoon as those temperatures again take off, and we'll get back into the lower half of the 90s, around 93 degrees. That hot dome of high pressure I talked about, there it is, right on into early next week. 95 by Monday afternoon, 92 on Tuesday. So we've had 5 90-degree days so far this year. Looks like we are easily going to add another 7 to those. 7-day full forecast is full of them, with a slightly better chance for rain as we work our way toward Tuesday and Wednesday.
Millions of people lost their jobs due to the pandemic, but for some people, workforce changes have created career opportunities. Scripps reporter Alicia Nieves introduces us to a woman who says she's working for the first time in more than 15 years.
While many people lost their jobs over the past few months,
hi, how can I help you?
For some people, the pandemic caused a scenario that made it easier to find work. LaShonda Garner is one of those people.
In my situation, I was out of work for 16 years.
After nearly 2 decades, Garner found a work-from-home job at the start of the pandemic.
As soon as I got the job, I was thrilled. I was like, oh my God, I can actually do something past my disability.
Garner suffers from severe PTSD and anxiety that makes it difficult to work in a traditional work environment.
In my case, there's certain sounds, there's certain smells, there's different things that trigger your anxiety or depression. And when I'm at home, I can limit those things.
While previously work-from-home options were limited, during forced business closures and stay-at-home orders, the U.S. saw a surge in work-from-home jobs, especially call center positions.
The pandemic struck. All of the call centers had to send their agents home, and this is worldwide. And this is something that never happened before. And some of the agents that were sent home in India, the Philippines, and China didn't have the infrastructure in order to do those jobs.
Alan Hubbard is with the National Telecommuting Institute, which helps people with disabilities work from home.
All right, whenever you're ready.
LaShonda is actually one of many people with disabilities who have been able to find work-from-home jobs and thrive in that environment in the past few months. The company that helped her, NTI, has actually been able to place nearly 200 other people in the last 6 weeks, when typically they only are able to place about 50 people a month.
And that's what the pandemic has done. It's opened up this opportunity for these folks.
Hubbard is working with a dozen companies looking to hire another 240 people, while LaShonda is thriving in her current role and hoping her story inspires others.
Fight for what you want, because you will eventually get it. It may take you, hopefully not 16 years like me, but you will end up getting it.
I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Connecting you to job opportunities is one way WRTV is helping Hoosiers rebound from the pandemic. Here are some of the other ways.
The past few months have been difficult for many industries, childcare being one of them. Despite constant disinfecting and cleaning, parents have been apprehensive to send their children to daycare. So places like Little Duckling Daycare on the east side had to close for 5 weeks. But thanks to the Early Learning Indiana Comeback Stronger Fund with support from the Lilly Endowment, they're helping childcare providers do just that, offering grants from $3,000 to $40,000 to help facilities make the necessary health and safety changes post-COVID.
If they did not have that opportunity, we wouldn't be able to afford the equipment, the supplies, and so I'm so appreciative.
At a time when many Hoosiers are waiting for their stimulus money, scammers are trying to get your money. You might have gotten a text, email, or social media message that looks like it's from the IRS, but it's not the IRS. When you click that link, you could be allowing scammers to download malware onto your computer, or they could trick you into giving up your social security number or bank account information. Scammers are also sending fake stimulus checks in the mail. The scammers will tell you they sent you too much and ask you to send them the difference. But when the check bounces, you're out of money. The IRS will not reach out to taxpayers via email, phone, or social media, especially with promises to get people their money faster. IRS communications will come via snail mail. The IRS wants you to report these scams so they can investigate.
At WilliamsComfortAir.com.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
The 4th of July is dedicated to celebrating America's independence. Veterans who continue to fight for that freedom can sometimes feel out of place when they return home from deployment. One organization is trying to change that by pairing vets with pets. Scripps reporter Maya Rodriguez shows the matches can be life-changing for both.
You ready? Outside his New Jersey home, Joshua Nola and his dog Bud love spending time together on their daily walks.
You know, no matter what, when I come home, he's always in a great mood. You know, he's always happy. He's always got a smile on his face.
Hey. It's a bond that Nola values deeply. He's a Marine Corps veteran who deployed to Afghanistan, and when he returned home, felt something was off.
You know, I've dealt with depression with stuff, dealing with a little bit of survivor's guilt.
Those feelings are not unusual for veterans. The VA says each year more than 1.7 million veterans get treatment for mental health. Enter the nonprofit Pets for Patriots.
Very simply, Pets for Patriots seeks to give veterans a new pet friend while saving the most overlooked, undervalued shelter dogs and cats around the country.
Beth Zimmerman founded Pets for Patriots as a way to help veterans heal emotionally while helping pets in need do the same.
There were two different populations, veterans and shelter animals, that had different but very complementary needs. And if I could find a way to bring them together in a really intelligent way, in an innovative way, that it would help both of them.
In the 10 years since Pets for Patriots began, the program has paired up nearly 3,000 veterans with shelter pets around the country, helping not just with the adoption, but also with the pet's lifelong care.
So we inspire veterans to adopt these animals by providing a range of benefits to make pet adoption affordable over the life of that pet.
And more than that, says Joshua Nola.
They're constantly in contact. They've kind of become like a part of the family.
Which is part of the goal, says Beth Zimmerman.
Time and time again, you just see these stories where the veteran heals himself or herself by helping the pet overcome what he or she has been through, and it's really pretty amazing.
Back in New Jersey, Joshua Nola and Bud continue on their path to healing together.
I wanted to save a dog just as much as I kind of felt like it would save me.
In Toms River, New Jersey, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
And according to the organization's website, these local shelters and veterinarians are partners with the program. For more info, go to petsforpatriots.org. We'll be right back.
Staying hydrated and staying cool, not only the name of the game this weekend, but over the next 7 days, as we are talking about high temperatures staying in the 90s. Peaking on Monday at 95 degrees. Between now and then, our rain chance is going to be very spotty. Most of us will not see a drop of rain this weekend. A little better chance for rain as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, but even that's only about 30%, and the heat continues.
And take a live look outside. You can see some fireworks shows already starting at people's homes. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Stay safe.